Hello boys and girls, today we're going to do an evaluation of a beautiful and famous painting of Van Gogh's called Starry Night. This is a picture of a night sky, a sleepy village and a cypress tree. We're using our elements of art and the principles of design and actually pulling it apart a little bit and understanding it better. So we're going to start by evaluating this painting with looking at the line. There are many lines in this picture, but we're going to pay particular attention to the strong line going from the left side of the page up to the right that depicts the mountains. There's a really strong line, curved line, flowing line that shows the shape of the mountains. There are also the small, short, sharp lines, straight lines that are used to create the village. We look at the curved lines that are made with short, sharp, curved brush strokes, and that shows the swirls and the movement in the night sky. When we're looking at tone, the cypress tree has a very dark tone, and when we look at the mountains, the different color tones of blue and black are used to create the 3D shape of the mountains and to also heighten or darken and just give that nice flow. The village tone is dark as well, except if you have a good look, you'll see shining out of the windows are the lighter tones, the yellows and the reds, to show that the lights are on in the village. And if we look into at the sky, the stars and the moon in the sky are painted with much lighter tones, so they catch your eye almost immediately. Now we're going to look at texture. The night is painted with those short, sharp, rough, curved strokes, and that gives you the impression of a busy, moving, windy night, a bit turbulent almost. The cypress tree, although it's a very dark tone, if you look carefully, you'll see the very strong textured, strong painted, harsh, almost lines, and that gives the impression of the textured leaves that the tree has. When we look at the village, there's an even softer texture that's used for the repetitive patterns in the village to create the calmer, almost sleepy atmosphere. And behind the village, there is a little kind of a forest or field, and those are also a much calmer, give a much calmer appeal to the village. We can see many shapes in this painting. I'm going to just draw your attention to the steeple of the church and the cypress. They both like triangles. The moon jumps out immediately, that's a crescent. The stars are circles. The roofs of the house, the windows and the walls are basically rectangles, and if you look carefully you can see the odd square. The mountains, as you know, are organic shapes. Now let's look at the form. Here he's very cleverly taken the circles of the stars, given a halo around them, and turned the circles into spheres. The organic forms of the mountains are created by using the dark tones in the painting, the different shadings, and that changes your flat mountain into a more 3D shape. The triangular shape of the cypress tree is turned into a form also by using the different tones and the shading to give the 3D effect. In the village, we can see the cuboid forms of the houses. The colors used here are very interesting because basically it's a very cool picture. So there's a lot of blue, a lot of black, but then we have we have the warm colors, which are your yellow and your orange, that pop out and draw the eye to the bit of warmth. The other bit of warm color, as I've already said, is in the windows of the village, which give you that kind of homely feeling. The bright complementary colors in the sky of yellow and blue stand out very strongly. As I said, the small red and orange and yellow colors shine from the windows of the house. The dark green of the cypress tree stands up against the lighter shades that are used in the rest of the painting. There are many different shades or values of blue in the mountains, the sky, and the village. The white in the sky, just behind the mountain, draws your eye in straight away and separates the earth from the sky. And the white movement, the swirls in the sky, they draw your eye to the movement in the sky, and that's what gives that turbulent, windy look. Right, so when we look at space, or how the picture has been filled, 2/3 of this picture is sky, and with a lot of emphasis on the movement. 1/3 of the picture is the town. So the positive spaces in the sky are the swirls, the stars, and the moon. And then the tall cypress on the left-hand side of the picture, and the bright crescent moon on the right side of the picture, creates that asymmetrical balance that we've learned about. Right, when we're looking at scale and proportion, the large size of the cypress tree in the foreground, and we compare that to the size of the village, it leads us to understand that the cypress tree is in the front of the picture, the village is in the middle of the picture, and in the middle ground. And then when we look up at the moon and the stars, even though they're up in the sky and they're right in the background, the way they've been painted, it feels that you're standing under them. We see the mountains also in the middle of the picture, but the way that they're painted, it gives you the depth perception that they're far away in the background. And we all know what contrast means. So we're looking at the contrast in this picture, painting, and there are contrasts in colors, there are contrasts in shapes, and there are contrasts in tones. So you can see the very big contrast in color, for example, the crescent orange and the sphere around it yellow, with the complementary color of blue, a very big contrast. And there are contrasts in tones, so the darkness of the cypress tree with the lightness of the sky, there is contrast. When we're looking for repetition in this painting, we can see the repeated pattern of the stars, the circles. So there are many stars. We see repetition in the mountains. There are quite a few mountains. There's repetition, houses, many houses. There's repetition in the fields below. You can see the trees. So all of these, the repetitive paintings create those patterns. So the repetition of the little houses, all calmly similar, that gives the rhythm, slow rhythm in the village, whereas the repetition of the swirls in the sky and the repetition of all the little spheres, the sparkly spheres around all the different stars, that gives a different kind of a rhythm, a feel of more turbulence and boisterous. The rhythm of the mountains is a really solid, calm, flowing rhythm. When we're looking for where the emphasis is in this picture, we can see that the emphasis is on the cypress tree by the size, the proportion, and the value of color that's used, and it takes up a huge space on the left-hand side of the painting. However, the bright color of the moon draws the eye to the moon and creates a focal point on that side of the page, bringing in that balance as we've spoken. And of course, there's an emphasis and a focal point in the swirls in the sky, and which create the movement of the night sky and draws your eye to that as well. Although a very busy painting, it has a unified look as the elements, for example, your stars, your moon, your mountains, your cypress tree, and your village, all connect together to bring in a balance and a harmony. The few colors and the tones that are used, they're all unified in the painting, as it feels like it fits together perfectly. And lastly, when we look at balance, we've learned 3 types of balance. This balance, the balance used in this painting by Van Gogh, is asymmetrical. So if you divide your page in half, you've got the strong cypress tree in the left-hand side of your painting, and on the right-hand side, the focal emphasis and the crescent moon brings in the balance for the right hand side. So looking at this, it's an asymmetrical, balanced painting. So I hope that looking at this painting very closely is going to help you look at other paintings in a different light. Paintings are actually made to help us feel or to create an emotion. So looking at this painting that of Van Gogh's, think, how do I feel? And why do you think this painting makes you feel that way? Give it a little bit of thought.